Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1982 Detroit Tigers season replay. Today we're going to take a moment here and go over our standings, stats, and league leaders for the season ending 1982. And we're going to do this today, although we are in the midst of the playoffs, because usually I do this right after the season ends, and this is the first time we've made the playoffs. And I think in order to enjoy the playoffs, we have to be able to look at the transactions as every game ends. And we can't do that because the transactions show who the league leaders are. And so I want to kind of just knock this out of the way real quick today and cover the standings and stats and the league leaders so that when the season ends, we can do all the free agent signings in a separate video, and then we could progress to the 1983 season. So I want to knock that out tonight. First thing I want to do is, I know I've mentioned this in a few videos this season, but I did at one point before the season started, I went through and I changed all of the park effects for every team in the American League and National League. So what we're going to do real quick here is just take a look and see, was my equation successful or not? And this will only take a minute. We're not going to do the National League. We're not going to do every category, but I just wanted to point out, if you take a look at the stadium effects here, like lefties bat a certain way, righties bat a certain way, like at Tiger Stadium, they're 2% higher than average. Hits by lefties and hits by righties, though, are below 100, so below 100 is average, okay? And so left-handed hitters are 2% less likely to get a hit or 4% less likely than in the average stadium. Doubles, which we did not hit very many of this year, as a team, we were 16% less likely. Triples were 22% less likely. Strikeouts around average, double plays around average, and errors technically 7% less likely. So all of this was manipulated by my specific equation, which I'm not going to get into here. If you want to know what it is, if you think I've done a good job with these numbers, I'll be glad to explain it to someone. I can just create a little bit of a video to kind of go through my process. So what I want to do real quick is tell you, if you look at the American League average here, okay, in real life, in 1982, the league batting average was 264. And with my numbers, overall batted 266. Home runs in 1982 were 149 on average per American League team, and we did 152. Stolen bases is not a category on the stadiums that we looked at. But if you want to compare our league and real MLB, stolen bases in real life was 100. So, I mean, essentially, you could say 30% more than for each team on average. And ERA, this one is a little bit different. In our league, it's 4.27, and in real life, it was 4.07. So almost a quarter of a run more in my simulation. Okay, I'm going to go down the list here real quick, if I haven't already lost everybody. I think I'm going to do the Tigers in whole with these four categories, but then we'll just go down and do each American League team in average and home runs, and you could see whether I was successful or not. Detroit Tigers in 1982 in real life batted 266. We batted 260. You could probably say we had suffered a lot of injuries and had to go to backups and AAA players. So maybe we could say that, but 6% batting average is not that bad. Home runs in real life, the Tigers hit 177. So we hit three more in real life. I mean, 3 more than in real life. Stolen bases, again, I'm calling the shots on that. 93 is what the Tigers hit in real life. We had Ricky Henderson, and we had Eddie Miller, and we had Kirk Gibson. So that's what happened there. ERA, folks. I wish this was live so that I could say, hey, do you think over and under this number? The Tigers' ERA in 1982 was 3.80, and our ERA was 3.80. That is pretty good. So 6 points less, 3 more home runs than average, and ERA exactamundo. So for the Tigers, that's pretty good. I don't think we're going to see the same amount otherwise. I just wanted to point out one thing for sure, is that the most home runs in the American League in our game was Milwaukee, who was made up of a series of, I think 6 out of their 9 starters were rookies. And they hit 192, which is more than any other team in the AL. In real life, they also led the American League in home runs with 216. And that's with Gorman Thomas and Cecil Cooper and all those great Harvey Wallbaggers. So really quick, we're going to go right down the list here. And I'm going to just tell you what the Yankees did in batting average and home runs. You can compare them with your own eyeballs. Okay, Yankees batted .256 with 161 home runs. Boston, .274 with 136. Baltimore, .266 versus 179. Milwaukee batted .279 in real life and hit 216 home runs. And Milwaukee won the American League East in 1962. Cleveland batted .262 with 109 home runs in real life. Toronto batted .262 with 106 home runs. Seattle, .254 versus 130. Chicago, .273 versus 136. Kansas City led the American League in batting average with .291. In real life, they led the American League in batting average. They batted .285 in real life. .291 seems like a ton, but in real life, they batted .285, so we're 6 points off. Home runs, they batted .132. California batted .274 with 186 home runs. Oakland, .236. Very poor batting average for that team in the biggest ballpark with foul ground in the American League, or in all of baseball actually. So .236 and 149. Texas .249 and 115. Minnesota .257 and 148. Okay, so other than Detroit, a lot of these other teams really weren't exactly close to where they really were in real life. But keeping in mind, overall, with my manipulations of the stadium effects, 264 is what the American League average was in 1982, and there was 266, and home runs were 149 in real life, and we hit 152. So on average, all the teams, we're right there. And again, we were 25, it was 407. So we're 0.2 runs less, so a quarter of a run more in our game. Okay? So I don't know. I just thought that would be interesting to show you. I feel pretty good about it. I feel like we did a good job. Tried to make it realistic. I think we hit all the main notes. I mean, the Tigers' ERA was exact. So I feel really good about that. We could do the National League too, but I don't think a majority of you that are actually taking the time to watch this video necessarily care about that. If you do want to know, and perhaps you're on the Baseball Mogul website, I can just give you the ratios on there. I'd be glad to do that, but we'll keep it moving here. So just taking a look at the standings, because we're going to wrap that up today as the playoffs play out. We won the American League. Of course, we beat the Yankees in the one-game playoff. It came down to that one-game playoff. I think the Yankees probably are the better team. We suffered a lot of injuries. It annoys me that we had a 10-game lead and then all of a sudden gave it up. We do play this game in Mogul mode, which is the most difficult mode. And it kind of feels like the old Madden games when you get like a 40-point lead and then all of a sudden, you're playing the AI and then all of a sudden you throw like 4 picks in a row and then they return them for touchdowns and the game's tied. That's kind of what it reminded me of here. I like that challenge. I just don't like that feeling. And I think that's what really frustrated me in some aspects of this season, was the fact that at one point we pretty much had this sewn up. It made it interesting. It made it more fun to watch. I'm sure it made a lot of you learn a lot of new swear words that perhaps you weren't already familiar with coming from me. I apologize for that. But that's kind of how it played out. And thankfully we won and made the playoffs. And you'll have to just continue to watch if you want to see how that plays out. Boston did a great job coming back. They were at one point had fallen to 5th place in the division. And then they end up 10 games over. Baltimore suffered all those pitchers' injuries. And you may be curious, did Baltimore finish in the positive with their finances? Yes, they did. You probably have more money in the bank than a Baltimore Orioles team does. But yes, they did finish with $5,000, so they can sign free agents. And they can re-sign their own team. Oops. Let's take a look here at, and then Milwaukee. Again, almost all rookies, managing 78 wins and clubbing all those dongs. Cleveland and Toronto kind of mopping up the division. 70 wins for Toronto, though. They lost Dave Stieb, and then they kind of tanked it for a little while there. They got him back at the end of the year. Seattle came from nowhere. Remember, Kansas City had a huge lead in this division, and they finished 11 games out. And I think maybe something that kind of went under the radar is the White Sox came back and finished second in the division, almost winning 90 games. They have a great young pitching staff. I know I declared early in the season they were the most boring team in the American League, and they proved me wrong. They're a pretty solid team. California, who won the World Series 2 years ago, our first sim season, they fall to 4th. Oakland, Texas, and Minnesota, who won the division last year. They go from first to last. Their team is terrible, and they've really got nobody coming up from the minor league system. Take a quick look at the National League here. We know this was a tight race. All five out of the 6 teams were really right in it, down to the last beginning of September, I guess. And it was close all the way, but New York pulled it out. Good job by them. Cincinnati was the class of the Baseball Mogul universe here. They won 106 games, pretty much seemed unstoppable. 258 stolen bases. That was more than the Oakland A's in 1982. In real life, Oakland A's had 232 stolen bases with Ricky Henderson on their team. So that's a lot of stolen bases. The Dodgers finished second and only had 70 home runs. That's crazy. I don't know how that's even possible. It's not like they even had they did have a lot of stolen bases, but so did everybody in the National League. Houston, who won the World Series last season in our sim, finished at 500. San Diego, San Francisco, and Atlanta finishing off the American League West. So, okay, let's get right to the leaders here. We're going to go back to the American League. Take a look at the leaders. We're going to go as quickly as we can through this. You can see here the top 25 in home runs in the American League, with Ricardo Saenz of the Seattle Mariners finishing with 34 home runs. Kevin Mitchell follows up with 33. Ron Kittle with 32. Willie Aikens, 30. And you can check out the rest of the bunch here. Despite Milwaukee hitting all those home runs, the most they had on the team was Alan Cockrell with 25. Paul Molitor had 25. Randy Azador had 25. Doug Lohman had 22. 3 out of the 4 of those are all rookies, with the exception, of course, of Paul Molitor. Tom Brookins hit 22 home runs. We let him go to give Mickey Hatcher the everyday third base position, and Hatcher's going to be our team MVP if the Baseball Mogul Facebook page voting continues the way it's going right now. So there we go. There's home runs. Let's take a look at, whoops, I don't know what I'm doing here. Do we care about at bats? I guess I'm out of curiosity. Alan Bannister had the most. Mickey Hatcher stayed healthy all year. Got 617. We're doing offense real quick. Doubles. Alan Bannister, 57 doubles. That's pretty incredible. Of course, no Tigers on there. We are not a doubles team, as I mentioned earlier. Grounding into double plays. Did Parrish make the list? He did not, but Eddie Murray, who we got halfway through the season's right there. Biff Pocoroba and Ken Singleton both had 35. That's embarrassingly bad. Extra base hits overall. 60 for Chet Lemon. Who would have thunk it? What did he do? 41, 1, and 18. That is a lot better than his split season. Well, I forgot. That was a strike-shortened year. He did that in 126 games, too. All right, so weird. That's a weird category. Do we care about fielding? I do. Let's take a look. Where did Parrish finish? 7th. That's terrible. Chris Bando maybe get the Gold Glove there. First base. Greg Brock and Eddie Murray. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Neither one of them really felt like they were good defensively, but that's not a bad number to put up. And, of course, Eddie Murray has won a Gold Glove. Dave Bergman, who I believe finished the year in the minor leagues, might get the Gold Glove with Dave Stapleton there. Second base. Sweet Lou. He finished tied for second, technically, as Marty Barrett and Neil Fiala of the White Sox lead. If I'm going too fast, of course, you can just pause it. Mickey Hatcher. This does not surprise me. Did he beat Tom Brookins? He did not beat Tom Brookins. So Tom Brookins holds that over him as well with a 950 average. John Castino, 956 fielding average. Shortstop, how did Tram hold up? Did he qualify? Yes, he did. He missed a whole month of the season. 971, that's not terrible for a shortstop. He's no Fran Mullins. White Sox might have a couple Gold Glovers. Maybe that's a factor in how well they're playing overall. Left field, we have Gibby. Gibby, really not known for being a good defensive left fielder. No one's going to argue against Gibson or for his cause, but he did have the 5th best fielding average in the American League for left fielders with Jerry Turner of Cleveland. Wow, Ron Kittle, number 2. Okay, let's take a look at the fielding average for center field. We had no one that qualified because we were bouncing around with Kevin Bass and Dawson and Eddie Miller. And so no one played enough games to qualify. With Mike Hart of Minnesota being the standout right field there. We had Glenn Wilson start off the year. He got injured, and then we were just piecing it together. Bob Baylor of Kansas City, former Detroit Tiger, with a 990 percentage. Looking at hits, Mickey Hatcher finished 5th with 182. Alan Bannister almost had 2 for Baltimore, 197. Kevin Romberg, second baseman for Cleveland, had 192. Wade Boggs, 188. George Brett, 187. Okay, let's see. Hit by pitch. Who got hit by pitch the most? Randy Azador of Milwaukee. Big Wheel had 5. Next up, we said home runs already. Intentional walks. Anybody? Ron Kittle had 7. I probably gave, 20% of these intentional walks to these batters were issued from Detroit pitchers. Where did that end up? Wade Boggs with a 426 on-base percentage. You know what? I just realized I missed batting average, but we had 3 batters finish with over 400, and these are all slap hitters, right? I mean, Greg Luzinski's maybe the only one who's got some real pop. Willie Aikens was in the top 10 in home runs. Let's take a look at batting average. How did we miss that? Did I skip it? Here we go. Here we go, folks. Top 25 in batting average. Wade Boggs batted almost 350 this season, followed by Henry Cruz and Neil Fiala. Rance Mulliniks ended up having the highest batting average for Kansas City, as George Brett fell to 306. Remember, he was batting 400 past the All-Star break. That's incredible that he just dropped off like that, but makes sense. Tom Brookins batted 304. Come on. Again, upstaging Mickey Hatcher, who was, again, our team MVP, in my opinion, but we're going to let the voting sort that out. Top 25 with number 25 being at 287. That's pretty good. Okay, let's continue from where we left off with outfield assists. Anybody from the Tigers? No. Tony Brewer, Lynn Jones, Lee Mazzilli. Yeah, you don't run a Lee Mazzilli. I mean, a lot of these guys are bad. Like Otto Valiz is a terrible defense. Ken Singleton, terrible. Right? These are guys that are under 80 and that we ran on. So, I mean, we have to be more judicious next year when running on some of these. I mean, Jim Rice has a horrible arm. Don Baylor's terrible defensively. Rick Manning's a Gold Glover. Ricardo Saenz is horrible. And Dave Henderson, Gold Glover. So, I don't know. Ricky Henderson was number 2 last year in the American League, and of course his injury prevented him from being included. He just didn't have the numbers. OPS, Gibby just makes the list. 892. I mean, nowadays, if you don't have at least one 1,000 OPS guy, it's a terrible offensive year. But we don't have any. We don't have anybody hit 900. Wade Boggs has the most, though. So good year by Wade Boggs. In real life, it was his rookie year in 1982. So opponents, plate appearances, don't care. We're going to come back to that, don't care. Okay, RBIs. Let's take a look here real quick. There we go. George Brett led the American League in RBI with 122. Only 6 batters hit over 100, including Mickey Hatcher. Eddie Murray was right up there, but he had most of those for Baltimore. I don't think he did anything for us. He had 19 RBI in 60 games. Gosh, that was one of the worst things. One of the worst trades I've done. Some other interesting names on the list in RBI. Where's, what's his name? Did he not make the list? Harold Reynolds did make the list with 87, and he finished the year in the minor leagues for Seattle. That's crazy, right? Okay, let's take a look here. Runners thrown out. Let's take a look at runners thrown out. While Brian Harper, who has one of the weakest arms in the AL, actually averaged at 80. So people were trying him, and he threw 51 out. Ernie Witt, Dave Engel, John Stearns, Greg Malberg, Ray Smith, Ron Hassey, and then Lance Parrish. Bobby Ramos had a few. He made the list. Okay. Thanks, Freddie. Loves this playoff baseball. Runners thrown out percentage. Under 30%. That's unacceptable, especially for a guy who was on the verge of being an all-star in real life. Runs scored. Only 2 batters scored 100 runs, and that's Willie Wilson and Kansas City's Rance Mulliniks. So 2 Kansas City Royals over 100. Nobody else did. Lou had 91. That surprises me. I didn't realize that. And Kirk Gibson had 83. And let's see what else here. Sacrifice hits. We need to give Marky Wags some props. Marky Wags had 11. You see a lot of our other weak hitters contributing, playing some small ball. Ricky and Trammell had a couple. No big deal. Okay, sacrifice flies. Eddie Murray had 12. That's right. I think he's got a 99 in that category. And Mickey Hatcher had a 90 in that category. So, and a lot of the other expected hitters, maybe not Paul Dade for Toronto, and Chris Bando. Okay, slugging percentage. Biff Pocoroba. Come on, Biff Pocoroba. White Sox, again, I mean, they had a lot of the league leaders, so you have to give that steals. This is what people want to see. Omar Marino for Baltimore had 65. I want to say he had 50 at the All-Star break, right? And he just sort of petered out. I don't know if Otis Nixon is going to be right up there next year because we're going to change his position in the offseason from third base to his actual position, which is center field. So he would be competing with Lee Mazzilli, and he may or may not play as many games. Rusty McNeely finished on the IL. Ricky Henderson finished on the IL. Von Hayes is going to be a real force at some point. Eddie Miller was in AAA most of the year, got called up with all the injuries, contributed with the 32 stolen bases. Gibby almost had 30, and a lot of the names you love right here. Even Lee Mazzilli had 19. Again, we're on average, the teams were, 30 above what happened in real life. So more stolen bases you might expect. Steal success is going to be, 74%. 75% and up is what is considered very good by Major League standards. So there you have it. Definitely not going to see Ricky Henderson. Which batters struck out the most? Carl Pagle. I think he led last year as well, 142. Signs, 132. And a couple of Milwaukee rookies on there, 3 of them, in fact. Gibby had 110. He had that terrible stretch. I think he struck out 7 in 10 at-bats or something, right when we needed him most. Lance Parrish expected definitely to hit over 100, have over 100 strikeouts. Okay, let's take a look. Moving on. Total bases, is it Boggs? No, actually Boggs. Way down here, 24. Okay. Well, Hatcher's up there with 268, top 10, and Willie Aikens just barely beating out George Brett, his teammate. Let's see here. Trips. Spike Owen had 9. Gibby had 6. Henderson 5. Andre Dawson 4. Shooty Babbitt. Okay, so now we're going to switch over to pitching real quick, and we're going to blow through these. Complete games, Mark Langston, he's probably going to be your Cy Young Award winner. That son of a bitch. Frank Tanana had 9. Roger Slagle had 9. No Tigers in there. I think 3 was the most by Dave Rozema. ERA. Roy Branch is your ERA champ. A 2.76 ERA. He finished the year on the IL. We will not see him in the playoffs. He's out for another 70 days. Took a line drive off the lower leg, and he is out. 16-9, 276. He did make 32 starts. I mean, I guess he could be eligible for the Cy Young. Maybe they'll cancel out each other. Rosie made it. Jack made it. They sucked at the end. We don't care. Games pitched. This could be all Tigers, right? Yep. Tom Hume, Roger Weaver finished with 70. George Capizzello 69. Dave Rucker 65. Kami had 65. And the Eck had 66. And you can take a look at the list of the rest of them there. After appearances, we did see games played for batters. 162, Carl Pagle and Alan Bannister both finished with 162. And we had 4 Tigers with 148 and 149, which is maybe why they were so damn tired. Hits. No, we're doing pitchers. I'm an idiot. Grounded into double plays induced. Jaime Kokenauer had 43 from Milwaukee. Dave Rozema, ground ball pitcher, had 31. Nicely done. Okay, we're doing pitchers. Who hit the most batters? Jim Clancy and Jaime Kokenauer. Each had 10. Jack Morris had 6. Moving along, we have pitchers. Home runs allowed. I already know who won this one. Yeah, Larry McCall, 58. He was closing in on Burt Blyleven's real-life record of 60. I think that's the number, right? So 58. Dave Rozema had 29. That's a lot for a ground ball pitcher. But he throws 86. So Jack Morris had 25. So Tiger Stadium definitely gave up a ton of home runs. Innings pitched, yeah, no Tigers on that list. Roger Slagle and Stefan Weaver, both rookies in our 1980 season, just pumping the innings. Any surprises? No names that really, like Larry McCall made that list, but some of the teams were on four-man rotation, so, I mean, that's just what's going to happen. Let's take, I don't care about any of that stuff. Saves. Okay, here we go. Saves. Mark Clear and Dennis Eckersley both had 32, and then Manny Sarmiento and Kurt Kaufman both had 30. Roger Weaver finished with 23. He's our, I mean, I can't imagine he's going to have as good a year in 83 as he did this season. And Dave Rucker had 14 saves. We were kind of doing the lefty closer, righty closer thing for a while, and it was really working until Dave Rucker kind of hit a wall. Shutouts. Let's take a look at shutouts. Roy Branch and Frank Tanana both had 5. Jack had 2. The first game of the year and the last game of the year, he threw shutouts. I wonder if that's ever happened in real life. Starts. Yeah, I mean, some people started 37 games. I believe, I know it's true. Burt Blyleven started 38 games combined, right? Because he had 19 in the AL and 19 in the NL, so he would have led in that. Maybe that's why he sucked the pipe late in the season. Strikeouts pitched. We're almost coming to the end here. Jack Morris made the list. He had that 12 strikeout game, which was amazing. Mark Langston, yeah, he's got to be the Cy Young. Bannister, who we just faced today, 180 strikeouts. Bruce Hurst and Teddy Higuera. John Matlack and Tom Candiotti, who doesn't even have the knuckleball yet. We're going to give that to him, I think, next year. Was the year 84 was the year he learned the knuckleball. We did the research on that before. We're almost to the end here. I guess we're looking at wins. Is that what we come down to? Let's take a look at the wins leaders. Yeah, Mark Langston, 21 wins. No one really close. Only with the ones that are within 4 are Richard Dotson, Dennis Leonard, who had 15 wins at the All-Star break. Alan Ramirez, Stefan Weaver, and Milt Wilcox, former Tiger, finished with 17. And you take a look at the rest here. Dave Rosema had 14 for us. Couldn't quite make the list. Okay, so we're just going to flip over to the National League. Oops. There we go. Here you go, National League leaders in the main batting categories. Broderick Perkins batted .339, and that brings up that stat that in real life, Tony Gwynn had a .338 career batting average, and in real life, no San Diego Padre has ever batted above .338. And Tony Gwynn had a .338 career batting average, but Broderick Perkins did. He batted .339. And you see the rest of the top 10. Top 10 in home runs in the National League. This is kind of sad. Dave Parker of the Mets, he got traded to the Mets from Pittsburgh, finished with 25, as did the last place, Tracy Woodson, Atlanta Braves. He had 25. And there's really no other power hitters in there. So it's just Mike Schmidt's on Houston. I think he had 14 in the Astrodome, which is like a cave. Runs batted in, only one batter with 100 RBIs. It's Dave Parker. Tony Gwynn right there. Orlando Gonzalez of the Dodgers. Jeff Burrows. There's a couple good names here. Steals. Kim Allen fell short of 100 with only 97 stolen bases. I say only because he was sitting on 96 with like a week to go, and he couldn't get it done. His teammate had 82. Bob Dernier had 84 in the middle. Eric the Red, who's actually a Giant, had 56. UL Washington's brother, LaRue Washington, and Mamamoki had 37. I guess we'll take a look at pitchers real quick. I'm just going to pull them up. There's ERA, there's wins, there's strikeouts and saves. There we go. So Bob Welch and Bruce Berenier finished with a 232, and Rick Ownby finished with a 233. Almost a three-way tie there. I think Rick Ownby is going to be the easy Cy Young Award winner with 23 wins. I don't know. Bob Welch is right there too, although the Mets did make the playoffs. So did the Reds. Charlie Leibrandt at 21. 4 20-game winners in the National League with Bruce Berenier making it. So, wow, that's going to be a tight race. Strikeouts pitched, J.R. Richard, Nolan Ryan, Bruce Berenier right there with Rick Ownby, Charlie Leibrandt right there. And Roger Clemens, by the way, who, of course, didn't actually make it to the majors until 1985. He's 20 years old, and he's already got 56 career starts for the Cubs. Of course, he was drafted in that 1980 season, almost went right to the majors. He had 2 minor league starts, and they said, why not? We're a terrible team. Bring him on up. So those numbers will actually improve, which is going to be crazy. And look at the saves leaders. It's Mark Littell of the Cardinals with 30, followed by Joe Sambito, and assorted other names here. Okay, so that'll do it for today. We're going to take a look at the transactions. We'll look at this in tomorrow's game, a playoff game, just because no one had a chance to see this. But here's your leaders in the transactions, and we had 2 retirements. Tom Bergmeyer, at age 39, retired from Boston. He did pitch a little bit this year, was pretty bad. And then Mick Kelleher, who was a free agent all year, retired. So, okay, so that's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any more questions about my stadium effect manipulations and you really want to know what my formula was, I'll be glad to tell you. Just let me know, and I'll get you that information either through an instructional video or I can send it in the email or something like that. Okay. Thanks again, everyone. And until tomorrow, when we have Game 3 of the ALCS, have yourself a great night.